Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the third session of the day on our first day of the Food, Drink and Hospitality Network, brought to you by Montgomery Group. This series of webinars has been curated by us for you, for the food, drink and hospitality industry, in order to try and connect, inspire and update the industry so we can all try and stay together and find solutions to the new world that we currently live in. There'll be many more sessions, so do have a look out for our future sessions. A little bit of housekeeping. Can I just ask that everybody toggles their mouse over their screen and on their settings? If it says HD, please turn off the HD and switch to 360p. That means there's less use of the bandwidth and we'll have a better experience all round. Okay, so today I'm excited to introduce Alison Battisby, who's joining us from Avocado Social. Alison is a social media expert with over a decade of experience and has done a lot of work with big brands such as Estee Lauder, Tesco, Pringles, and Nokia. So has worked with the biggest and the greatest, but also with startups and smaller enterprises starting off on their marketing journey. Alison's going to do a little bit of a talk and share her expertise with us, and at the end we will have a question and answer session. If you've got any questions, please use the Ask the Question button at the bottom of your screen and I'll pose them to Alison a little bit later. Welcome, Alison.
Hello, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to speak to everybody today and hopefully share some inspiration to you all as well.
Brilliant. Over to you then. Time to kick off.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen then because I've got some fantastic examples to share with you all this afternoon. So I'll just give that a moment. Brilliant. So today's webinar is all about marketing in an unstable environment. Obviously, there's been so much change over the last couple of weeks, and online is where we all seem to be coming together to communicate with each other. So I wanted to bring some examples this afternoon that hopefully everybody can learn from, and also to give you all some reassurance and some inspiration as well, because there's some fantastic marketing happening at the moment, and some brilliant examples of brands in the hospitality, food and drink sectors that we can all take a little bit of inspiration from. Okay, so I first of all wanted to show you guys a couple of statistics. Just something to note is that Facebook and Instagram in particular are seeing huge growth in terms of their platforms surging as we all flock to those platforms to chat to our friends, to connect with our loved ones, and also just to distract ourselves as well from what's going on. Social media usage is absolutely through the roof. So Facebook is seeing their messaging services increase by over 50%. And also overall, they're seeing their usage on the platforms increase by 40%. Views of Instagram Live and Facebook Live doubled within a week. That happened 2 weeks ago. So I can only imagine what's happening now. And also research shows that the average screen time is up to 5 hours and 40 minutes per day. So people are spending an average of over 18% more time on their screens than they were beforehand. In the UK, the average screen time was 2 hours and 50 minutes. So this is a worldwide statistic here, 5 hours, 40 minutes, but you can just imagine the increase. I mean, I know I've been spending a lot more time on my phone to connect with loved ones, to follow fun or humorous accounts to cheer me up, but also to campaign for the NHS as well, and just to connect with other marketing professionals. As well as social media, email inboxes are also filling up. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely received more marketing emails recently in the last couple of weeks. Consumers are receiving emails on an unseen level since GDPR, as brands and businesses are racing to reassure their audiences over the unfolding situation. So this is an email service called Aweber in the US, and you can see that the number of emails sent that mention coronavirus has massively increased as well. And that was at the beginning of sort of mid-March that statistic was taken. I don't know also about you, but I've noticed many companies are actually flouting GDPR rules by contacting consumers who no longer have opted in. So I've definitely received some very dubious emails from companies that I definitely haven't subscribed to or haven't heard from for a long time. So do just be aware that you are still sticking to the rules. GDPR is absolutely still in place, and you wouldn't want to potentially put your business at risk at this moment. So make sure that when you are sending out emails, you're only sending them to people who have definitely opted in since May 2018. The other thing that I am quite passionate about at the moment is that you don't allow your brand marketing to go completely quiet. So it is still important to stay present and in the minds of your target audience as well. You know, hopefully the positivity around the industry is that as soon as everything kind of lockdown wise is over, that everything's going to be booming again. And so you want to make sure that you're keeping present for your audience, you're keeping them reassured or inspired. Obviously, I don't mean do a post for post's sake. You wouldn't want to just create a post that could be seen as insensitive. But I think there's certainly messages that you could be sending out at the moment to your loyal customers, to your followers, particularly with events like Easter happening. And I've got lots of ideas of content that you might want to create a little bit later on in the presentation. So if you have been struggling for things to say and maybe you've gone a little bit quiet, it's not too late to send out a message of reassurance, maybe to send out a message of support for key workers, for the NHS, or perhaps just to tell people a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes, even if your business is temporarily closed. I really liked this tweet from an American marketer that I follow called Rene Ritchie. He said, before you hit send or post on your COVID-19 thing, ask yourself and head of outbound marketing if you're really helping or if you're just cluttering and maybe even exploiting. Then ask 3 more times, and if you're absolutely sure, or if you're not absolutely sure, then hit delete. Our inboxes thank you. So I think this really struck a chord with me because there is quite a lot of noise for noise sake happening. And I actually think that you should take a step back and just reread your posts and think, is this actually useful content for somebody to read? Is this actually going to be something that is useful or meaningful for our audience to read? Will they appreciate this message, or are we just clogging up the news feeds? And if it's the latter, maybe that's where you hit delete rather than post. So obviously everything is evolving day to day at the moment. There's absolutely no way to predict what's going to happen over the next few weeks. And so what I would recommend you do from a social media perspective, but also wider marketing, is just to really hit pause on anything that's scheduled at the moment. So if you have been using a scheduling tool for your social media, I probably would avoid scheduling lots and lots of content in there for the coming weeks. The reason why is that everything's evolving so quickly that something you schedule maybe on Monday, come Friday, may not be so relevant anymore. It may even be seen as insensitive as well. So I'm a big fan of Planoly, which is an Instagram scheduling tool. You can see it on the right-hand side here. These are my Planoly posts, which I've been scheduling in. But what I have been doing recently is not putting that scheduled time on the posts, simply to plan the content. Before anything goes live, I check the platforms. So I scroll through my Instagram feed, I look at the daily trends on Twitter, I scroll through Facebook, and I just check that anything that I have got in my schedule wouldn't necessarily be seen as insensitive. And I'm actually just making that judgment day to day. So I'm putting stuff into Planoly, but I'm not actually scheduling it to go live. I'm checking the platforms first. I would also recommend that you stay online for about 30 minutes after you post your content, just to check for any immediate reactions. So I have noticed perhaps a couple of influencers rather than brands post something, receive a couple of negative comments over whether that post was relevant or not, or whether it was seen as insensitive. And I have actually seen a couple of people deleting their posts. So there's nothing wrong with that, but what I would do is just stay online and check what the immediate reaction to your post is, because you wouldn't want to keep something live there when lots and lots of people have said, oh, I don't quite think that's relevant, or I don't think that's right. Obviously, at the moment, we're all learning. It's such a learning curve to know what is right and what isn't. So it's good to be really sensitive and just be aware of how your content is being responded to. This is the question I got asked the other day from a client. So all around timing. When is best to time your content? Now, obviously, traditionally, we, us marketers, would say, well, when is your audience online? When are they likely to respond to your content? And it may be that you used to have clear times or days that worked really, really well. But since lockdown, everything has sort of gone out the window. A lot of people are spending more time online than ever before. And so there doesn't really seem to be a pattern of when is the best time to post at the moment. What I would do is consider your target audience's day. So obviously we're on Easter holidays at the moment for many, but I would consider whether people would be homeschooling or whether people are doing their kind of Monday morning team meeting, and whether actually scheduling content to go out a little bit later would be better. Have a think about when people are likely to be looking online as well. Is it first thing in the morning? Is it in the evening, sort of late when the kids are in bed? And also think about avoiding posting content during key news times. So when there are those daily updates at 5 p.m. from government, if you had scheduled content going out at that time, which promotes your latest products, it could potentially be seen as insensitive. So just be really wary of when your content is going out and when feels right for that content to go out as well. It might be a bit of trial and error. You can, of course, look at the times when your Instagram and Facebook audiences are online in your insights section. You might also use some of your website data. So have a look at Google Analytics to see the days and times when people seem to be flocking to your website as well. The other thing to consider is social media advertising. So many of us spend money on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., on promoted and sponsored content. One of the things that has happened, obviously, lately is that brands are posting more organic content and are turning off their ads. So that's what happened sort of immediately a couple of weeks ago. A lot of big advertisers and small businesses turned off all of their ads. And this was because of obviously economic uncertainty, but also whether or not you feel your ads are still relevant to your audience. What many of the experts are now saying is that because there's so little big brand activity happening on Facebook and Instagram, some of the more traditional adverts we perhaps see from Burger King, McDonald's, or maybe advertising that's promoting things like film launches has all been paused. So what we're actually seeing now is cheaper return on investment from ads, so cheaper cost per clicks. If you are currently advertising on Facebook or Instagram, go back and have a look at your messaging and do check whether it's still appropriate or not. If you're not advertising, maybe there's an opportunity to share one of your key messages, boost the post, boost the event. Perhaps you run some advertising through Facebook Ads Manager, maybe in Instagram stories, perhaps, that promotes something that's relevant at the moment. I certainly would give it a go because actually, as I said, we're seeing cheaper ROI on adverts. But I would definitely think about advertising as more of a brand awareness activity as opposed to something that is designed to up your sales. The reason is because at the moment, again, it's going back to, does it feel right to be selling your products at the moment? Or should you be using this time just to get a little bit more awareness and reach around your brand? So when it comes to actually crafting your posts, there's obviously so many pieces of advice going around about this at the moment, but these are sort of the 5 that I think are most important. The first is obviously being compassionate and considerate. So even just small things like adding, hope everybody's okay today, or, thinking about all of our customers in need. Something as simple as that could really help to lift the tone of your piece. Also offering help and reassurance. So where maybe you can offer help within your community, or perhaps it's reassuring your customers about something being restocked on your website that's in demand at the moment. Perhaps it's around whether your business has had to temporarily close, just giving people reassurance that when things are back to normal, you're really looking forward to serving them once again. Maybe you're planning a huge party, who knows? But that kind of reassurance looking to the future is things that people, want to hear about at the moment with a positive light. Don't pretend it's just business as usual. I don't know any business at the moment that is acting as business as usual. Even if your business is seeing a huge uplift in sales, I'm sure many of your employees are having to spend longer hours. Perhaps it's more difficult to get that website restocked. Perhaps your delivery suppliers are, working really, really hard at the moment. So tell that story. Tell your customers how your business is adapting. Just don't pretend that everything is normal at the moment, because that's, not what people want to hear. They at least want to hear something compassionate or considerate as well. Be as generous as possible. So I think this is probably one of my favorite things that I've seen in the last few weeks that has really cheered me up, is just seeing how many businesses are being generous, whether that's giving to the local community, giving discounts to key workers, maybe it's supporting their own staff, perhaps it's supporting their customers by giving them competitions, giveaways, special offer codes, whatever it is that you can afford to do it now, because now is the time that people are looking for that positive content. And also the final one here is get your customers participating. So it's really interesting to see how many brands are now getting their customers involved, whether that's through quizzes, live Q&A, competitions, even Pret, getting their customers to design the next Pret sandwich. Perhaps it's wine tasting that you can do with your customers, just really giving that sense of community and also giving your customers something to do as well. I'm sure many of you have been involved in a Zoom quiz, so perhaps that's something you can do. I know I've seen some lovely examples of pubs doing quizzes, and also just finding out a little bit more about your customers, asking them to share their stories of quarantine, what they're up to, how people are coping, getting tips as well. This was a nice example from Pucker Tea, so Pucker Herbs, just sharing some really lovely designs on top tips that they can share. And they've been doing quite a few of these recently as well. So offering help in some way is a great way of approaching social media at the moment. So I've now got a bunch of examples to show you. These are just some of my favorites. It was really hard to whittle it down, but I've sort of gone through Instagram, Twitter and Facebook and picked out some of my favorite examples that I've seen. This is Crosstown Donuts, which is a donut shop across London. One of the first things that they did was they pivoted the business really, really quickly to team up with some other artisan food products to create these vegetable boxes. I say vegetables, but they're just general grocery boxes, which they are selling on their website. As well as that, they are donating boxes to the NHS. And you can also go onto their website and pay for a box to be sent to a London NHS hospital of your choice as well. And they're sort of showing people how those products have been received as well. So I thought this was a really nice way of completely pivoting the business in quite a quick way. You'll notice that they have changed their Instagram bio and they've changed their story highlights as well to reflect how you can get involved through the donate button and also through the collective, which is what they're calling this delivery box, the Crosstown Collective. So adapting their content really, really quickly. This is actually a business which is local to me. So I live in Wiltshire, and this is a bakery which I've been so impressed with. They have locations across Wiltshire. This is a new delivery service which they're offering for local villages, and what they do is they spend the whole week just delivering bread to all of the kind of villages around their key catchment area. If you're doing something similar, then a really good tip is to firstly show that you're still open through pictures of the production line. So these are pictures of the bread being made. These are pictures of the bread being delivered in the vans as well. So these kind of photographs reassure your audience that there's still work going on, and also they're explaining to people how they are helping the vulnerable and key workers as well. On the right hand side, this is just a really simple post on Facebook with the 4 different delivery options you can order. So they literally just took 4 pictures, put the emojis 1, 2, 3, 4 on top, and then put the phone number to ring at the top of the post. And so you just literally phone up and say which order you would like to make. So they did that really, really quickly. I think this is now the 3rd week they've been doing that. So again, it's kind of speed, which has been really helpful for them. They've actually received some great PR because of this. But also they've learned as they've gone along, you know, every week there seems to be a slightly different process to it. So this week when we go and get our bread tomorrow, we've been given a specific time slot to go and get it at our village hall so that we don't end up queuing with, you know, hundreds of other people. So I'm a big fan of Naked Wines. I thought it was really interesting to see they still have some advertising going on. So on the left-hand side, this is a Facebook ad that they've currently got running. It's a lovely campaign called Nominate a Hero. I know that lots of businesses are doing this kind of content at the moment, which I think is fantastic. So do you want to surprise a key worker who needs a little pick-me-up? And they're advertising this as well. So they're giving you the opportunity to nominate a hero, and they will pick one and send them a box of wine, which I think is a fantastic thing to do. And so they've designed this lovely graphic and also made it really clear how to do that and put a little bit of advertising spend behind that. And then over on the right, you can see that they've started doing Thirsty Tuesdays, which is a Zoom and Facebook Live event every Tuesday. So you can see they've programmed into Facebook events the next few dates that they're doing. And you can join that and get involved with 1 hour of live tastings from your favorite naked winemakers. So it's just bringing some content that your audiences can really get involved in at home and advertising them really clearly through your Facebook communication. This was one I spotted just yesterday, actually, Abel and Cole, the vegetable delivery box. I thought this was just a really nice way of just updating your audience as to what's going on at your business. I think people are, particularly your loyal customers, are, want to be reassured about what's going on. There's lots of questions happening at the moment around, are you still open? Are you still open for orders? When are you getting restocking? Or when you're getting restocked, sorry. So any way that you can sort of put together a bit of information and send that out via an email and a social media post is appreciated by customers. I think as well, starting with the word few, what a few weeks it's been, setting the tone that it's been a crazy time for everybody. And I think at the moment, so many customers are just so forgiving and, understanding of any delays that are happening. But it's nice just to kind of explain to your audience what has been going on. So any kind of statement that you can put together, thanking your customers, perhaps for their custom or their patience or even their messages of support, is a nice thing to do at the moment. And I love the fact that Abel and Cole just did this in a really simple graphic, which they would have knocked up on maybe a platform like Canva or Photoshop. So what is this trend with banana bread? I think about maybe a week and a half ago, everybody started making banana bread and sharing it on Instagram. And so one of the brands that kind of jumped on that trend, I thought was quite funny, is Pret a Manger. So Pret have been creating some wonderful cook-at-home recipes. They've been picking their favourite items from the shop floor and sharing the recipes of how you might go about that at home. I thought this one was put together really nicely. So if I just take you through it there, you can see it's still done within the Pret branding, really simple ingredients, method, and then a call to action to share your creations using the hashtag Pret Recipe Book. So with many of us getting cooking at the moment, is there a secret recipe you could share? Is there something that you could encourage people to do at home? And think about what ingredients they probably would have hanging around as well. I've seen some strange recipes with some quite unique ingredients that I don't think many people would have in their cupboards being shared by other brands. So do just kind of think about what would people have knocking about and how could they create that really easily. As well, we're seeing a lot of baking with kids type recipes coming up as well, particularly around Easter weekend. So thinking about how your audience could enjoy doing some baking with their children as well. This was one which I spotted yesterday from Signature Brew, who are putting together Pub in a Box, which is a product that they have created to enjoy your pub experience at home. They've started a hashtag Pub in a Box where you can actually scroll through that hashtag and just see so many people sharing their pictures of their pub in a box, their pub at home experiences. So I thought that was a really lovely way just to keep the pubs going in, the current times. Also, they've been thinking about how they might deliver some live music, some live comedy, etc. Through their social media. So watch this space to see what they come up with. It's been lovely to see the pub industry thinking about ways that they can bring that pub experience to you at home. So many pubs at the moment are offering takeaway services. Many pubs are also thinking about running pub quizzes to people at home and just keeping people still engaged with them while they have had to sadly close. Also, things to think about is if you are sending out takeaway, could you include gift vouchers so that when you are reopened, you're encouraging people to come back to your premises pretty quickly to come and use their gift voucher as well. So one of my favourites, Honest Burgers. You can see in their bio there, they've said currently closed for eat-in, delivery and collection. Look after yourselves, we'll return soon. I thought that was a nice update to put in your Instagram bio, particularly if you have had to sadly close for now. Some of the content they've been posting recently involves some quizzes. So can you spot the burgers and can you name them? So quite nice quizzes for their loyal customers. And also they have popped their CEO or their co-founder, Phil, onto Instagram Live to do some Q&A. They've been using the question sticker in stories to encourage people to ask their founder anything. And it could be anything. So he was answering questions around how the business was created, where the idea came from, how they've managed to grow, but also just random things as well. So if there's anyone within your business you could put at the forefront Maybe it's a particular expert, a gardener, perhaps it's one of your baristas, or maybe one of your bar staff, chefs, who could share a bit of insight. It's just such a lovely way of getting some of the faces behind your business in front of your customers and introducing them. So I received this email yesterday from the Pig, so from Robin, chairman of the Pig, which I thought was really well put together. In the email, they were, of course, sort of explaining why they've had to, what they've been up to the last 2 weeks, what they've been doing with their produce, what happens if you've had a booking. Unfortunately, they've had to postpone the opening of one of their hotels down in Cornwall. But I thought the email was put together really well because it was open, it was honest, it gave customers reassurance about when they will be open again. And also, they weren't exactly saying when they will be open, but they were saying, we look forward to the future. And they've ended the email with a tribute to their staff, which I thought was really, really nice, a nice way of kind of recognising the team. Don't forget to include things like gift vouchers where possible. I know a lot of people are looking for birthday presents that they can share with people, or gift vouchers for things like Easter as well. So that could be something that you look to promote. And then another really nice thing that they've done is they've asked people to share their memories of coming to the Pig with the hashtag pigtails, and so they'll be sharing some of their favourite memories, just to keep people thinking about the business, and hopefully putting it on their to-do list, their kind of when this is all over to-do list as well, which I know many of us have. So Soho Farmhouse doing very similar, so they have started a hashtag called Your Soho Farmhouse, where they are sharing customer pictures, so customer images and customer stories of why people love the farm. And so I thought that's just quite a nice way to keep content flowing and to offer your customers an opportunity to be featured on your feed as well. So coming to the end of my examples, this one I spotted yesterday. I was a bit too late to make the competition, but Owens launched a competition where you could receive a £50 gift voucher. You had to be the first person to answer the question in which of our Owens has a secret gin bar. So I thought that was a great way of just engaging, again, your loyal customers and offering something to ensure that people are coming back once they are back open again. Competition-wise, another idea might be teaming up with another brand. So I noticed Emma Bridgewater, the potter, and Joe and Seth, the popcorn makers, teaming up to give away this lovely bundle for sort of film night, which is 2 iconic bowls and a giant bundle of gourmet popcorn. So in order to enter the competition, you had to follow both brands, like the post, and then tag in a friend you've missed spending movie night with. So I thought that was a lovely way of just giving your customers something back, but also perhaps picking up some new followers who maybe haven't heard of you before by teaming up with another complementary business. This one was from Bloom Gin. So obviously a lot of bride and grooms who have had to postpone or cancel their weddings, obviously feeling, pretty miserable with all of those plans sort of put on hold for now. So Bloom Gin approached country wedding magazines and were offering newlyweds left devastated the opportunity to actually get some free wedding favours. So they were giving away these mini bottles of gin. You could just fill out a simple form and just state how many guests you plan to have. And they were sending miniature bottles as your wedding favours to you. So I thought that was a lovely way of just getting your product out and being generous as well, reassuring people, and also just spreading a bit of positivity as well in this time. So we've come to the end of my examples, but I just wanted to leave this slide with you. I think if you're really struggling for things to say at the moment, hopefully this gives you some ideas, from recipes and cook-alongs to takeaway box or recipe box promotion. Competitions and giveaways are always so well received in social media. Thinking about well-being at home, maybe there's something that you could offer your audience. I think featuring customer stories and testimonials is perfect content at the moment. Just to sort of go back and share some of those customer stories is lovely. Entertainment, so is there anything you can do to keep people who are bored out of their minds entertained right now? Maybe it's opening up a Q&A with the founder or key staff. Obviously, Easter holiday content. There's going to be a lot of eggs and baking and crafting that we see over the next few days. Home improvement and decor ideas, so things like, how to create a bar at home, how to arrange your spice rack, all of that kind of content I'm sure people will receive well at the moment. Wine tasting, beer tasting, cheese tasting, anything people can do from home. And then working from home help as well, so production tips, etc. So hopefully that gives you some content ideas to go with. So if you have got a question, now's the time to start asking in the Q&A box, which will be opening up in just a second. I'll just take this moment to share some further information about myself. So my company is called Avocado Social, and if you're looking for a social media community online, do come and join our Facebook hub, where we're sharing lots of examples of how brands are dealing with the current crisis. We've also got some advice on our blog, which is at avocadosocial.com. And you can, of course, come and meet me on Instagram, where I'd love to hear from you in the DMs as well. So we've reached our Q&A section. So I'm just going to shut my window down and hand back over.
Well, what can I say? I think a huge round of applause virtually for Alison is in order. Sorry, just closing down your screen.
There we go.
There we go. Sorry, a little bit of a delay there. Brilliant session, Alison. Comments on the right-hand side are loving you, I've got to say. I think Laura said this is the best, most practical webinar I've listened to in the last few weeks. And there's people saying, please can we have Alison back every week? So, right. Before we take some questions, just thought I'd let you know we've got people from all over the UK, including Glasgow and Carmarthenshire and the whole of England. But you've also got people on here from Italy, Slovakia, Austria and France. So
wow, that's amazing.
Great. Okay, first question, Alison. How can you start marketing your hotel when you don't know when you can reopen? Thinking timescales here. Do I prepare to market summer barbecues or Christmas Day, or leave it until I have a firmer reopening date? And Eamon also added to Lynn's question, saying he's got the identical issue. Should he be trying to sell during the pandemic, or should he wait until the situation improves?
Yeah, I think anything with fixed events at the moment I would avoid, just because there's so much uncertainty. But I definitely think that things like summer barbecue content, so content just talking about being outside, getting ready for summer, would be well received, because the weather's very much improving at the moment. And also people want to think ahead to the future and feel excited about what's going to come for the rest of the year, looking forward to a better time. So I think there's absolutely ways that you could talk about maybe a barbecue that you're planning without putting a fixed date in. So you could say, later on in the summer, we would love to, or we will be hosting a barbecue, but just I wouldn't put the date and times in just yet. I think anything, I have seen with so many businesses that aren't really promoting any sort of event pre-September at the moment. So I would probably just avoid that. Hopefully the webinar has given you lots of inspiration as to how you can still sell your products, but in a sensitive way. And as a hotel, I think you can certainly be sharing some of your memories over the last 12 months, stories from your customers, and just things like, beautiful views, or your garden, or some of your bedrooms as sort of inspiration to cheer people up as well.
Lovely. So it's about still connecting, sending things out there, but not directly selling as such.
Exactly, yes.
Fantastic. Okay. What are the best ways to promote my company so we hit new and existing markets and prepare to hit the ground running when we return to work to save jobs?
Yes, I think at the moment, again, it's just focusing on brand awareness as opposed to selling. So I would start, talking about some of the products that you have got coming up, but also maybe explain a bit more about your business, who you are, maybe tell your backstory. This could be a really good time to be connecting with influencers to work with in the future. So just doing that research, perhaps having conversations with some fresh influencers you've never spoken to online before. I know that a lot of people are far more receptive to receiving pitches and DMs at the moment, just because we're all not as crazy busy. So we've got time to actually respond to people. And also I would think about when you are ready to launch any product, whether there's anything you could sort of launch with, like a special deal or a discount for people. I think that would be really appreciated, rather than sort of selling anything full price.
Fantastic. Okay. What's the best platform to promote that I am now offering delivery as part of my business model on a limited budget?
I would say as many as you can at the moment. I mean, we're seeing huge surge across all social media platforms, from TikTok to WhatsApp. So think about where your customer is most likely to be. So think about their age range. TikTok is very much a young person's platform, whereas Facebook is slightly older. But do have a think about kind of, maybe you're going to be on 2 or 3 different platforms. I think in the UK, the most popular at the moment are Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, but also Twitter is a very popular platform in the UK. So consider, how much time and resource you have. But I would say if you can spread that message far and wide, that will really benefit you at the moment.
Brilliant. And I think we've probably got time for just one more question. I really like this. It was actually a discussion on the sideline from Mash Childs. I got into a LinkedIn debate where a sausage and bacon company had set up outside a hospital in Bristol and gave away free bacon sandwiches and hot dogs to NHS staff. Such a lovely idea that I personally applauded. However, some people online were complaining that by promoting their good deed online, they were exploiting the situation. Any thoughts? But it's a good one.
That's a really good question. Do you know what? I'm with you. I think that's lovely that they had taken the time to do that and given away free produce. I actually think it's not exploiting, because I know there's just so many NHS staff who are in need of a good meal at the moment. For one of the businesses that I run social media for, we've actually had NHS staff DMing us, asking us if it's possible to bring some food to them. So I think they wouldn't be doing that unless they were desperate. So I think personally, I think that's nice. But I can see, I think it's a bit, it's so hard. It's a hard line to please everyone. You're never going to, and you will probably always get those naysayers or people who are saying, oh, you're just exploiting the situation. But at the end of the day, our economy has to survive this, and every business has to try and get through this in any way that they can. So, that burger van will be employing people, and they've got to make a living somehow. So I think just perhaps sometimes it's being open and transparent about why you've made a decision to do something and why you have decided to set up shop outside an NHS hospital and give away products, and maybe just the CEO needed to explain that a little bit more to the audience.
Brilliant. And I think that's a really nice place to finish, actually. Let's just see the good in people and see these initiatives for the positive and kind meanings they have behind them. I think somebody wrote in the comments, well, haters are going to hate, aren't they? And I think that will probably always be the case. So let's just try and support and share the good things people are doing.
I would say from being a social media consultant for 10 years now, I would say I've probably never seen so much positive content online as well. So I'm a positive person. I like to try and see the positive side of things, and I haven't seen a huge amount of trolling, which is great.
Brilliant. And I have to say, it's so nice to see so much positivity coming from you today and helping people in the industry to use those positive stories to help their businesses survive and keep people in business. So I personally want to say an enormous thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know it's made my day to have sort of such a positive session. I can see the comments on the side are incredibly positive as well. And I think we've also now got people from Slovakia, Belgium and Ireland on the chat as well. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to connect with you all in some way, and do take good care of yourselves.
Brilliant. Wrapping up now then, so we do have one more session today, which is at what time are we starting? Sorry, 3 o'clock. It's Kate Nichols, Chief Exec of UK Hospitality, talking to us about updates in the industry and the sector and support and advice. So do join us for that one if you like. And to find out about our future series, if you click on the Montgomery Group series at the top of your screen, you'll see all the webinars that have already taken place today. You can rewatch and you'll be able to see our upcoming sessions. Thanks so much again for everyone joining us today. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.